Ladies and let's I'm just trying. Mr. Obama, he fell down. From your lips to God's ears, Michael Fazio. Mr. Obama, don't talk like that. From your lips to God's ears. All right. No, we're not going to be able to do it like that. We got to get Mr. Obama. When it comes to banking, Mr. Obama, he deposited a lot of money in the bank. I don't remember having 17 billion. He printed up 17 billion. That whoop, all right, this ain't gonna happen. So we're gonna have to do this a different way. Let's take a big staple gun. Let's take a big matter of fact, this works out perfect. A staple gun from a commercial bank. I actually got this out of an accountant's office from a bank in 1975 or 76. This is talking about banking. I ran across this. This is made by Bostitch, Bostich. It's a Bostitch staple gun, and it actually still works, and I actually have staples in it. So let's see if we get Mr. Obama to be part of our show today. You want to be part of the show, Mr. Obama? I want to be. I made a lot of money in the banking industry. Mr. Obama, welcome to the machine. So here we go. I want you to tell me your story about banking in the Philippines. Because what I have discovered about banking in the Philippines is that it is about the closest thing. Setting up a bank account for a foreigner is about the closest thing to coming in direct contact with stupid that you can come across. And the reason for such is because my experience with the bank that I just had money sent to. I got there. I was the first person online. Okay, this is how I set up my bank account. This is what happened. This is the stupid nonsense that you have to go through to set up a bank account in the Philippines. Before I set up the bank that I had them transferred to this week, within the last 5 business days, I had a bank account in another bank. Typically, you would wait anywhere from an hour to 3 hours online in a bank at the ICM Mall. And I just didn't find that acceptable. So I would just walk up to the manager and say, look, this is unrealistic. You know, I mean, the first thing I did when I got to the ICM Mall was I took a number and I would say, how long is it going to be? I mean, what is the average wait? Because there would be people lined up, 30 deep for different things. And she'd say, I don't know, sir. Have a seat, wait a while. And I'm not going to do that. I'm just not going to do it. You're not going to tell me to sit down for an undetermined amount of time. So that's number one. The ignorance in the banking industry in the Philippines is just, it's across the board stupid that the manager of a bank that can see the number on the screen and knows that we're up to number 10 and I have number 20, 10 people. On average, how long does it take to service 10 people? And she said, well, we can't tell you that because some people are depositing, some people are withdrawing, some people are filling out a bank form to start a bank account. I couldn't take that as an answer. So this was when I was still with Daisy. And I left with the number and came back about an hour and a half later. And my number was almost up. And I went in and filled out the form for the bank, which took the better part of 45 minutes when I was at the woman's desk. Well, when I was done with the form, she said, "Yes, sir, you can come back tomorrow and we'll put the form into the system." I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Well, the computers are down." I said, "How long have the computers been down?" She said, "All morning." So before I took the number, the computers were down. Was there a sign on the door that the computers were down? No. Was there any notification by the guard that the computers were down? No. Did any of the secretaries that was handling the paperwork tell you that the computers were down? No. They just let everybody wait there. So I quietly went around the bank where I was sitting and said, "Look, the computers aren't working. You could sit here for an hour or 3 hours, or you could sit here all day, and then they're going to tell you to come back tomorrow." So without doubt, I can tell you I didn't come back the next day or ever to that bank. Although I had 22,000 pesos in that bank, I've never been back in that bank. And that's going on probably a year and a half now. So the ignorance, in my opinion, the ignorance of the people who are actually in charge of the bank is that they didn't put a notice on the door that the computers are down. They didn't tell the guards to notify you that the computers are down. So you can't do any electronic business. Now, you could make a deposit, and that's it. You couldn't make a withdrawal because they couldn't open up the computers. So basically, 8 out of 10 people that are going into the bank are going to sit there for 1 to 3 hours. And when their number's called, the manager of the bank or the teller will tell you that you're not allowed to do any business. We have no online accessibility, and we don't know when it's coming back online. They don't even have a dedicated line to their bank from wherever whatever they're doing. There's no dedicated line. You would think there would be, but there's not. Okay, so I go to another bank, the bank first I go to another bank, and they hand me applications. And I said to them, "Approximately how long will these applications take to fill out and process?" And she said, "Anywhere from 2 to 4 hours." All right, no, I'm not going to do that. So I went to a third bank, and I said, "How long will the applications take to fill out?" And she said, "We can't tell you, sir. It's different for every customer." So I walked out of that bank. Now, these are the people that fill out the applications with the potential clients. So I went to the bank that I'm currently doing business with because it's close to where I do my shopping. And I walked in and spoke directly to the manager. He said, "We will get you through this as quick as possible. Could be 1 to 2 hours." So he lied. Okay, so right from the get-go, he lied. So I can fill out paperwork relatively fast. I mean, it's not complicated. I would say I signed my name 20 times. On 4 cards, I had to sign my name on the front and the back, full name, printed over signature. The signature over printed, excuse me. So that was 4 times 2. That was 8 signatures. Then there was an unbelievable amount of paperwork. And then there were these little teeny cards that you had to sign. I don't know who they went to. There was like 6 more of those. There was 14 between those 2 sets of cards. And then a multitude of paperwork, and each had to be signed full name. Then, of course, you had to fill out where the money that you have in America is coming from and why the money is in America and not in the Philippines. Why don't you transfer? This is conversation that they have. Why don't you transfer money to the Philippines? And I said, "Well, I am. The minimum deposit to start this bank account is 5,000 pesos. And the manager, the man, well, first it was a woman, but I refused to do business with her because she didn't have the answers I asked for about the paperwork she handed me on her desk. And it turned out she wasn't checked by a manager over her. So they gave me a person that didn't know what they were doing, first time sitting down at that desk, new employee, and each thing that she did, the manager had to check. So I got there a few minutes after 9 o'clock in the morning. Man, Bear, Pig, welcome to the machine. Thank you for stopping by. So I was there, and now a few minutes after 9 was 10:15, 9:15, 9:10, like that. And I'm there. It's now 12:30, and the last piece of paper is signed. I'm hungry. I'm thirsty, but I have water. But I'm hungry now. I said, I'm going to go across the street and get something to eat. And the woman says, no, sir. I said, what do you mean, no, sir? She says, if you leave the bank, we will have to start the paperwork all over again. Thank you, Mike and Mr. Obama. You're welcome, Man, Bear, Pig. So I said, what are you talking about? I said, bring over the manager so he could actually hear. He's the next desk over. He comes over and I said, look, I want to go get something to eat. I don't know this guy from Adam. He says, no, sir. I said, what do you mean, no, sir? He goes, you can't leave the bank until you get your bank book and your card. And I said, why not? He said, it's not allowed. What kind of stupid nonsense? I said, I just want to go across the street and get something to eat. I'm hungry. And he tells me, if you leave the bank, you will have to start the paperwork over again. Well, I stayed there. And about 1:15, 45 minutes. Now, all that needed to be done was them to review my paperwork and put my name on a bank book. So that took about 45 minutes. So by 1:15, the bank account was set up. And now it's time to put the money in the bank account to deposit money. So the manager comes over and says to me, how much will you be depositing? I said, well, it said 5,000 pesos, right? He goes, yes, but we would like you to put more in. I said, how about 6,000 pesos? He goes, well, maybe 50,000. I said, you think I'm going to put 50,000 pesos in your bank? Do you really think that I'm going to put, after you tell me I can't go eat lunch? After you tell me 1 to 2 hours for the paperwork, and it's now 1:15, going on 1:30, 4 hours, double the price in time, double the time that you originally stated. You really think I'm going to give you 50,000 pesos? You really think that? You must be a fool. And I put 6,000 pesos in the bank. So the first bank that I would have to come back tomorrow to finish it. The second bank told me too much time, and the third bank said they didn't know. This is the fourth bank, so I had to go to fourth bank. So since then, I have put money in the account in the form of a check. And the check was supposed to take 30 days. Well, but they didn't tell you it was 30 business days. So actually took 41 days. But when I asked where the money was, the bank I deposited the check in the Philippines couldn't tell me where the money was. They could not tell me that it was in their bank, and they could not tell me if it was withdrawn from my American bank. So my American bank said, absolutely, you wrote the check that night at midnight, the money disappeared. I said, well, where is it? She couldn't find it. So do you have other banking experiences like this that you'd want to share? Now, Two Bears in the previous live stream said that he deposited a check for 25,000 pesos, 25,000 US dollars into a Philippines bank. Oh, I also should tell you that Philippines banks are not what we call FDIC insured. So if you have money in a Philippines bank account, and if that bank goes bankrupt, you get nothing. You don't get nothing. You get to keep your bank book. You could post it on the wall. There is no insurance from any bank that I spoke with 2 years ago. If you deposit a large sum of money in their account and the bank goes belly up, there is no guarantee that you will get nothing. Not just you, but all of the banking patrons. There is no guarantee anybody's going to get $1 out of their account. So that's something you should be aware of. Another thing that you should be aware of if you're doing business in the ICM mall, when you take a ticket and you're not the first person up, if you're number 10 and 3 people utilize the 3 tellers that are to start new bank accounts, well, then those tellers will be busy for 4 hours to fill out the paperwork. But they won't tell you that. They won't make an announcement. They don't have a PA for the inside the bank, or if they do, they never used it. But they won't tell you it's a 4-hour wait. These people in the Philippines, they don't care if you sit in that chair for 4 hours or 6 hours. They won't even tell you that the computers are not up and running. They'll just let you sit there until you get, sir, you'll have to come back tomorrow. And you go, well, that doesn't make any sense. And the answer is, of course, yes, sir. They agree with you. They agree it doesn't make any sense, but they didn't do anything to correct the ignorance factor of their lack of respect for their customers. So the man asked me how much money I was going to put in the bank, digressing, and I told him 6,000 pesos. And he's going, but sir, you showed me more pesos than that, because I showed him what I was going to put in the bank that day, because I did. And he said, sir, can you put more in? I said, I could put this in. You know I could put this in. It's cash money right here, but I'm going to leave 6,000 pesos in your bank account. And I didn't really deposit anything for about 7 or 8, 9 months in his bank account. And then I deposited it and I used it right away on my Philippines debit card because I needed to buy something. So these people here will let you sit in a chair. This is the point of this. They will let you sit in a chair with the computers are down when you walk in. Nobody notifies you the computers are down. There's no notice on the door and there's no notice on the counters in front of you. They will let you sit in that chair for 3 to 5 hours and wait. And the Filipinos, they do it and they don't get upset. Me, I told them it'll be a long time before I deposit money in your bank account again. And it's been, I guess it's going on a year now. It's close to it. I don't really pay a lot of attention. I could look in my bank book, but it's going on a year since I deposited the money in that bank. What I deposited was enough money to do a certain thing. And I won't tell you what that was, and then I took it all back out. So now the next deposit will be Warren H's deposit for the computer. So basically what I'm telling you is that I should tell you that money I deposited was in a savings account. It was the minimum amount. Now, if you have a checking account, the minimum amount is 10,000 pesos. If you have a checking account and you have, let's just say you put the minimum in as a foreigner, Filipinos are 3,000 pesos minimum. As a foreigner, you have to maintain a 10,000 peso minimum balance. If it goes below 10,000 pesos, even just one day, you are charged 600 pesos. So that's $12 on an account that you're earning no interest from. You are basically earning no interest in savings or checking in the Philippines. Nothing. In America now as well. But you are earning no money. But if it dips below the minimum, they charge you $12. So that never happened. And that's why I'm going to dump one of these bank accounts that I have 22,000 pesos in. Because if I need it, let's say I needed 15,000 pesos and I used my debit card for 15,000 pesos. Not only would they'd give me the 15,000 pesos, but they tell you if you continue with the transaction, it'll be a 600 peso penalty. So I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to let this bank make $12 on a penalty charge for something that in a year and a half, going on 2 years, I haven't earned like 7 pesos on. I'm not going to do it. Now, I'm not going to recommend a bank. They all stink. Every one of them. Every single bank in the Philippines is identical to the other. They all lie to you. I don't know. You're just going to have to pick that out on your own. I would not. One bank I would never recommend is BPI. BPI, Bravo Papa India. I would tell you to stay away from that bank at all costs because they are a minimum 2 to 3 hours wait in the bank at the ICM mall. Okay, so does their debit card work properly? It does, but I never had a problem with the bank. The money that I put in the bank is still there. But if you want to wait 2 to 3 hours and they don't give you the respect of telling you that the computers are down and they don't give you the respect of notifying you either by telling the guard to tell you the computers are down, they give you no respect in that bank. And I don't know about the other banks, but that bank made me wait 3 hours without telling me the computers were down. When I took my number, I went and did my shopping. Daisy and I had lunch, came back, filled out the paperwork for 45 minutes, and then the woman tells me that the bank computers are down. You'll have to come back tomorrow. And my question was, when did the bank computers go down? And she said, well, they've been down since early this morning. And I'm saying, well, why didn't you notify me? Well, sir, we don't know if they're going to come back on. I said, well, give us the option. Yes, sir. So when they start giving me that yes, sir answer, I am already looking for a new place to do business with. I'm not going to hear yes, sir. I hear yes, sir from every representative of every company from every time I've ever done business in the Philippines. When store on the first floor of the BQ Mall sold me a brand new Acer computer for 39,000 pesos. And I said, write down on the receipt, money back guarantee. And she said, sir, it's in the contract. I said, write it down on the receipt and sign your name. Printed, signature over printed. So she did, but reluctantly. I came back the next day with the computer. It didn't work. It would grab 1 gigabyte of files or one or 2 gig files. But if you grab 20 gigs of files, wanted to move them from a thumb drive or a drive into the computer, it froze the computer up. You had to restart the computer. So I brought it to the Gadgets, whatever the name of the store is, Gadgets something, I don't know. And he confirmed that the computer didn't work. And she said, sir, we will give you an upgrade to the next, that you can upgrade your computer. I said, do I have to pay to upgrade it? She said, of course. I said, no, I just want to get my money back. No, sir. I said, what do you mean, no, sir? Sir, we will upgrade your computer. I'm going, I don't want to upgrade the computer. I don't want to pay any more money. 39,000 pesos was $800. The next computer was $1,000. I don't want that computer. I don't even want an Acer computer. I just needed a computer, and I bought this because I read that this computer was okay, but it's really garbage. Plus, I put the serial number in. That was in 2018. The serial number was from 2015. So the computer was 3 years old in the vacuum wrap bag. Yes, I watched them take it out of the bag. But I don't want this computer. Give me back my money. No, sir. What do you mean, no, sir? Get the manager. So they got the manager, and the manager came over and said, sorry, I don't want to upgrade. I don't, sir, this computer is a better computer. I don't want any computer from your store. Yes, sir. Okay, give me back my money. No, sir. You'll have to come back tomorrow. So she signed what they call some sort of paper that it was just a little teeny sheet of paper. It was the size of a credit card. That's what she signed. And she said, you come back tomorrow with this piece of paper and you'll get your money. So I go back to the store the next day and I wait, I don't know, a few minutes, and I hand the paper to the girl and she goes, sir, you have to go over there, over there. She just points over there. And I'm going, where is over there? Over there, sir. And she actually pointed in the direction of a cash register in the mall. Like if there was no wall and speakers and boxes for stereo units and boxes of stuff, if there was no boxes and no wall and no glass wall in the direction that she pointed, it would have been correct. But being that she pointed to a wall full of boxes, I said, where? She goes, in that, at the cash register. So I said, get me the manager. The manager came and walked me over to the cash register and said something to the woman, and she gave me my 39,000 pesos back. But I waited 6 hours, almost 7 hours in the mall for them to tune the computer up once I bought it. Then I came back the next day, and it took 3 hours for the manager to sign that waiver for me to get my money back. And then I traveled again the next day for 3.5 or 4 hours back and forth to get my money. So I had 3.5 or 4 hours the last day, 4 hours the second day, that's 7 hours, and 8 hours in the mall the first day to get the computer tuned up, the programs in it. And they were going to move all my files from my computer to that computer. And you know what? They didn't even move a single video. Nothing did they move. They said they ran out of time. So I waited from 10:15 or 10:30 in the morning till 4 o'clock in the afternoon. They moved nothing. I took the computer home and it didn't work, and I brought it back. So I had close to 20 hours to buy a computer that had to be returned with nothing but problems. And all you hear is, yes, sir, every step of the way. So when you ask me what bank to use, I'm at a loss. I would never recommend, but I would tell you that BPI Bank in the ICM Mall is a legitimate company, but you can wait 3 to 5 hours sitting down at their chairs and still not get service because their computers go down on a regular basis. That happens. Regular basis. So when I went to call the people up for my bank that I do use this morning, the bank has a website. The website has an address with a map on it. And the website with the address and the map has a telephone number to call the bank. It's a landline. They have no cell phones. And you know what? The landline of the number of the bank on the website with the address that I go to was a dead telephone number. They never upgraded the phone number on their website. So I had to call another bank, speak with the secretary that didn't know what the number was to the bank 1 block away, who put me on the phone with someone else who made me wait 45 seconds, and then they gave me the proper telephone number, and then I called my bank. So it took me 15 minutes to get the telephone number to the bank I use, because they don't put the bank telephone number in the bank book. And when they give you the bank book, they don't add a sticky note with the phone number to the bank in the bank book. So you have to go online to find out the telephone number to the bank. But when you go online to find out the telephone number to the bank, you're only going to find a telephone number that doesn't work to the bank's website with their address. And this is so backwards the way they do business here. I'm not going to recommend the bank to anybody. I'll be up on charges for false recommendation. Every bank I ever tried to do business with in the Philippines, none of them have FDIC security. In America, you were insured up to $100,000. In the Philippines, there is no insurance on your deposit of your checking or your savings account. No insurance at all. So for the people that are over 50 and you want to become a dual citizen, if you deposit, I think it's 50,000 US dollars in the bank, and you can use it to buy a condominium or a piece of property if you get married, but it's a 10% minimum deduction early withdrawal for whatever money you take out. But if the bank goes bankrupt, and I don't know that that's ever happened, you lose that $50,000. So let's say you want to become a dual citizen and you put $50,000 in the bank because you're over 50. If you're under 50, I think it's 75,000. I could be wrong. Those numbers could have changed. But when I moved to the Philippines, those were the numbers. So if you put $75,000 US in a Philippines bank and you wanted to withdraw that, here are the charges. Okay, so now you want to become a dual citizen in the Philippines, and you need to start a bank account, and you need to put $75,000 in because you're under the age of 50. There's a charge to set up that bank account, and the charge is $3,500 US dollars. That's the charge. I don't know why, but that's the charge. That's what it was. So immediately you pay $3,500. It's not a single thing. It's a multitude of that cost. This is what it was 7 years ago. So it's a multitude of things, cost on average about $3,500 US dollars to start the bank account. Now you put the $75,000 in the bank account, and then if you want to deduct money, let's say you want to buy a condominium. You're allowed to buy condominiums as a foreigner. So you want to take out $20,000. Let's just say 20,000 because it's an easy number to do calculations with. So you have to pay 10% penalty of what you take out. So that $20,000 that you want to deduct, and it has to be approved, is a $2,000 penalty. So if you were to take out $50,000, it would be $5,000 penalty. But you can take it out to use it for certain things. It has to be requested. You have to show them proof. The money can't be given to you in hand. The money has to be transferred to a Filipino corporation or company or business owner that you want to buy the condominium from. There's very few things you can use that money for. If you get married, you can use that money to buy a piece of property under your Filipino girlfriend or wife's name. But it's still a 10% penalty fee. So you pay $3,500 to set the account up. That's like 6 different charges that they have to set the account up. And you have to be in the Philippines to do it. And you have to go through whatever process they want you to go through. So you have to basically be in the Philippines, have $3,500 to set the account up, be willing for the possibility of losing $75,000 or $50,000 if the bank goes belly up. And then, of course, 10% penalty fees. And it might be more now. Could be less, but it might be more. So you want me to recommend the bank to you? What I recommend is that you keep your money where you think it's most safe after going to a bank and talking to these people about banking. It's a joke here. It's not real. It has nothing to do with reality. Like, reality is my screen just froze.